Question. Answer. Government Accounting Rules 1990 and will come into force with effect from April 1, 1990. The President is empowered to make government accounting rules on the advice of the Controller and Auditor General under the provision given in Constitution in Article 150. Who is empowered to make the government accounting rules? The President. Accountant General means the head of an office of accounts subordinate to the Controller and Auditor General, CAG. Chief Accounting Authority means Secretary of the Ministry/Department. CAG is appointed under Article 148 of the Constitution of India. CGA is located in Ministry of Finance in the Department of Expenditure. Who on the behalf of the President of India is responsible for prescribing the form of accounts of the Union and States, and to frame, or revise, rules and manuals issued in terms of Article 150. CGA on the advice of CAG. Consolidated Fund means the Consolidated Fund of India referred to in Article 266, 1, of the Constitution. Contingency Fund means the Contingency Fund of India established under the Contingency Fund of India Act, 1950, in terms of Article 267, 1, of the Constitution. Consolidated Fund of a Union Territory Government, referred to in Section 47 of the Union Territories Act, 1963. Contingency Fund of a Union Territory Government, referred to in Section 48 of the Union Territories Act, 1963. Public account means the public account of India referred to in Article 266, 2, of the Constitution. Article of Indian Constitution according to which the form in which the accounts of the Union and of the States shall be kept is to be prescribed by the President on the advice of the CAG. 151. Who is responsible for prescribing the form of accounts of the Union and States, and to frame, or revise, rules and manuals relating thereto on behalf of the President of India on the advice of the Controller and Auditor General of India? CGA. The annual accounts of central government and union territory governments are certified by CAG. The annual accounts of state governments are certified by Accountant General of the state concerned. The reports of the CAG on annual accounts of the government shall be submitted to the President, who shall cause the reports of the CAG on annual accounts of the government to be laid before the Houses of Parliament, legislatures of the states and of union territories respectively. The President. Subsidiary instructions that would be necessary for carrying into effect the provisions of these rules, and in particular, instructions for opening new heads of accounts or modification of the existing ones or instructions relating to the content and manner of maintenance of accounts, will be issued by CGA on the advice of CAG. The Ministry of Railways, Controller General of Defense Accounts, Director General, Posts, and Secretary Department of Telecommunications and Chairman Telecommunication Commission have been delegated functions of the central government under Article 150 of the Constitution insofar as such functions relate to the opening of subheads and detailed heads of accounts under various major and minor heads of accounts pertaining to their departments. W.E.F. 1982-83. The Ministry of Railways, Controller General of Defense Accounts, Director General, Posts, and Secretary Department of Telecommunications and Chairman Telecommunication Commission shall functions related to the opening of subheads and detailed heads of accounts under various major and minor in consultation with CAG. False. In respect of each ministry and department, each office or branch of the Reserve Bank or bank handling transactions of the ministries, departments of the central government shall maintain separate accounts for all the ministries/department. Each office or branch of the Reserve Bank shall render an account of the transactions together with all the supporting challans, paid checks to the pay and accounts officer of the concerned ministry/department. Responsible for keeping a complete account of receipt and payments, including intergovernmental adjustments and adjustments inter-SE of defense, railways, and posts other than telecommunications, on account of the central government is. Central Accounts Section, at Nagpur. The transactions of railways, posts, telecommunications, and defense department arising at offices and branches of the RBI and SBI, acting as agent of the BRI shall be distinguished from other central transactions in the initial accounts and classified separately for each railways, each circle of posts, each accounts officer of telecommunication, and each controller of defense accounts respectively. True. A statement of the closing balance of the central government shall be sent each month by the Central Accounts Section of the Reserve Bank to the Controller General of Accounts. The receipt and payment of monies on behalf of a state outside its jurisdiction shall ordinarily be arranged through the Accountant General of the state in which the transactions take place. The governments of state which have not so far entered into agreement with the Reserve Bank of India for the conduct of their general banking business by the Reserve Bank. Jammu and Kashmir and Sikkim. Transactions on account of discharge value of, and periodical interest on securities of state governments, as well as receipts on account of subscriptions against market loans floated by state governments are taken by the officers of the Reserve Bank of India directly against the cash balance of the state government concerned with the Central Accounts Section of the Reserve Bank of India. Nagpur W.E.F. With effect from February 1, 1978. The agency that act as a general clearing house for the adjustment of all transactions between different state governments and 2. Such transactions between the central and state governments as may be specified by the central government is. RBI, Central Accounts Section, Nagpur. All adjustments to be made between the accounts of different state governments as well as all payments which one of these governments has to make to another shall be advised to Central Accounts Section by the Accountant General. The Treasury. Rules of each state government issued under Article 283, of the Constitution. In support of receipt and payment of government transactions at the bank, receipt and payment scrolls supported respectively by challans and paid checks shall be sent by the bank to the accounts officer of the ministry or department concerned on daily basis. Payment of interest, repayment of principal on discharge of central government securities and pensions including pensions to freedom fighters taking place at state treasuries shall be accounted for under Suspense Head 8658. In respect of payments pertaining to central government securities arising at state treasuries the debit will be borne by PAO, Department of Economic Affairs, New Delhi. In respect of central, civil, pensions including High Court judges and freedom fighters arising at state treasuries the debits will be raised against the PAO in the Central Pension Accounting Office, who prepares classified abstract showing the monthly receipts and payments pertaining to the ministry, department, or union territory administration under his payment control. Accounts/pay. And accounts officer concerned. In respect of central transactions taking place at central treasuries in union territories whose accounts are at present maintained by state accountants general, each state accountants general shall send a monthly account showing the receipts and payments under major, minor, sub and detailed heads of account to Controller General of Accounts, Postal Board, Telecommunication Board, Railway Board and Controller General of Defense Accounts will submit the consolidated monthly accounts of their respective departments separately to the central government. True. Each state or central treasury, which renders accounts to a state accountant general will submit a double set of accounts, one for transactions of the state government and the other for transactions of the central government. The cash balance of the state government in the books of the accountants general at the close of each month will then be reconciled with the balances shown in the a. Cash accounts rendered by treasury officers. b. The statements of closing balance received from the Central Accounts section of the Reserve Bank, both. Reconciliation of figures of cash balances by the Accountant General of the State is made in the head 8675. A copy of the monthly account of each state government will be submitted by the Accountant General concerned to the state government. A copy of the monthly account of transactions finally adjusted in their books in respect of Union Territory administrations, relevant portion relating to a Union Territory government, and of central government civil pensions will be rendered by the Accountant General to the Controller General of Accounts. The undermentioned transactions between Central Civil on the one hand and Defense Department, Posts, Telecommunications, and Railway Department on the other hand, will however, continue to be settled through the Central Accounts section of the Reserve Bank of India, Nagpur except pension to the staff of Railways, Defense, and Post. The monthly accounts of the central ministries/departments and of the state governments will include not only the receipts and disbursements arising directly in the accounts of their accounts officers but also receipts and expenditure in other countries. True. Annual accounts, including appropriation accounts, in respect of state governments, and union territory governments with legislature are prepared by the AG concerned. Annual accounts, including appropriation accounts, in respect of state governments, and union territory governments with legislature are submitted to Controller and Auditor General. Annual accounts, including appropriation accounts, in respect of state governments and union territory governments with legislature are prepared in accordance with the provision of Article 151, 2. Appropriation accounts of central ministries, other than Ministry of Railways, and of central civil departments shall be prepared by the respective ministry/department. Appropriation accounts of central ministries, other than Ministry of Railways, and of central civil departments shall be prepared under the guidance of Controller General of Accounts, CGA. Appropriation accounts of central ministries, other than Ministry of Railways, and of central civil departments shall be signed by Chief Accounting Authority. Union government appropriation accounts, civil, required to be submitted to Parliament, shall be prepared by the Controller General of Accounts, CGA. Appropriation accounts pertaining to departments of Posts, Telecommunications, Railways, and Defense shall be prepared and signed by the Secretaries to the Department of Posts, Department of Telecommunications, Financial Commissioner, Railway Board, and Secretary, Defense Finance, respectively. Annual accounts of the Government of India as a whole, Posts, Telecommunications, Defense, Railways, Union Territory Administration and transactions under Public Account of India, accounts of Union Territory governments with legislatures showing under the respective heads the annual receipts and disbursement for the purpose of the Union, shall be prepared by the CGA, who certifies the annual accounts of government. Controller and Auditor General of India, CAG. The certified annual accounts and the reports relating to the accounts shall be submitted by the CAG to the President in accordance with the provisions of Section 11 of the CAG's DPC Act, 1971 and Clause 1 of Article 151 of the Constitution of India. Pro forma accounts relating to irrigation, navigation, embankment, and drainage projects and government residential buildings are required to be prepared by civil account offices. Pro forma accounts are also sometimes required to be prepared for transactions which do not relate to commercial or quasi-commercial undertakings of government. Accounting of famine relief. The form in which any pro forma accounts are prepared in accounts offices will be determined by the government concerned on the advice of the CAG. Thank you. Subscribe the channel and hit the bell icon for notification.